and answers. Before I open the questions to the floor, I just started, two questions from two speakers. I would like to ask from the last speech, the culture. I think it's quite an interesting area again, we are missing many of these things, like creative part of our city planning, because we try to see that all lands and the economy, and which is also important, but sometimes we try to forget that the sensitive part of city making process. And also I have pointed out that about the multiculturalism. I just want to share his maybe new thoughts, because I was there sometime back in Toronto, but there may be new thoughts and new sort of trends going on there. Sometimes people say that multiculturalism is used by these countries just to attract people, just to sort of tell that they are thinking about other people, and but still, is it happening, right? Because sometimes it's very hard to see that your way of living, like now in Europe to a certain extent that you can experience, but particularly North America and Canada as well. But Canada is a little bit different from America. But how and what kind of practices you can see realistically that they are sort of incorporating the other ethnic and other cultural communities in the whole sort of the main countries or their main nations, Canadian type of way of doing it. Like particularly, I also tried many things that in Canada, like when I was working as a designer, where we try to promote certain places and certain facilities for people to use, particularly for the people from different other cultures in the cities that where I work. But what do you think, Hashim, this aspect of how it is applied in multiculturalism?
Yeah, it's an interesting question altogether, because it is definitely different from US, because US is the human melting pot. That you put people into the melting pot and you melt them and make them an American, wherever you come from. Right? After 2 years of your life in US, you become an American. But in Canada, it doesn't happen. You still remain a Sri Lankan or Indian or Chinese or whatever. You actually can maintain all the cultural ties, cultural practices, and as I said, when you are in a public transport, you hear about 10-15 languages spoken at the same time. People have no problem of expressing themselves, going with their own cultural practices, their own celebrations and everything. You are right to a certain extent. I mean, we all are human beings, right? We all feel close to our people somehow. When we especially see our people outside Sri Lanka, we feel kind of secure, we feel more close, we feel we should talk to them and etc. 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 So that is true. That those divisions are still there. I mean, as cultures, as cultural groups, they live together. For example, so let's say Toronto. If I say it's like a billiard table, where you find red balls and white balls and yellow balls and whatever the colors, and these balls at the end of the day try to get together, right? Because the Chinese would actually prefer to live in their own enclaves, and the Asians, say Sri Lankans, would. Indians might do that. Sri Lankans don't do that, because we are the greatest, the most divided nation actually, probably in the world. We don't live together. We don't have so much connections, etc., etc. And sometimes I understand it's more comfortable when we do that also. But the Chinese, Indians, Persians, they live together as huge blocks. So what I really like in the Canadian situation is the liberty and the freedom that's given to practice any cultural beliefs. Right? If you look at my university's calendar, you see all sorts of religious days. Vesak, New Year, all those days are marked. But they are all not actually holidays. They're just marked, right? If there is a holiday, they would push it to a weekend. So the Saturday would become the Vesak day instead of the Poya day, right? And the Poya days are all on Sundays in the temple. So we don't get the public holidays, but we do have those days. So it's really interesting how this multiculturalism is practiced through law. Actually, it is by law. It's actually allowed, and anybody is allowed to do that. If a student comes to me and tells me that it is one of his religious days and therefore he or she cannot come for the exam, I have to tolerate that. So it goes to that extent, the multiculturalism. Right? Yeah.
One more question from the speaker, Mr. Premratna, Architect Premratna. He gathered that quite interesting about the reuse of the discarded materials. And so what is about, like if you're reusing, certain electrical equipment, appliances and so on, for example, electric fan or air conditioner, something, how it is with the sort of the safety and also the warranties, guarantees, that how much time that will work and that sort of thing.
As I told in the presentation, we did not use any of this wiring and all because it doesn't meet up with the safety standards. So for all those things we used brand new products. But when it comes to fans, I really wanted to find those roofing fans which is like 150 years old, which looks very nice, but we couldn't find it. It's all been bought by antique dealers and sold at a very high price. So fans, I think the old fans are better than new fans. It can run for about 100 years. New fans doesn't last. Warranty is something else. They still last. But for the light fitting and all, it's not electrical, right? It's just the outside. For light fitting and all, we use old materials. Some of the materials we could not find and we are still waiting for about 2 years. And for air conditioners and all, we go for the old products because it's not environmentally safe and it's not energy efficient also. So we went with new products. So that is why when we set about our limit agents, we didn't compromise our quality. The architecture, the structural or engineering aspects or energy aspects, we can't compromise, right? So for all the architect students, I'm telling you that you can reuse materials, but there is a limit. There is a limit. You should not compromise on practical standards. I mean, you should not do things just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, I think what somebody can do is that, like this one case only you've done and study, but maybe you can try to see that this can be applied as a common thing, that maybe reusing, like there may be various guidelines, maybe and so on, like you see that can be established certain guidelines while accommodating with the legal and other planning.
Yes, I agree with you because that's why I told you that we need research into this area.
Yeah, I think it's quite.
I just want to share my experience from Canada about reuse of materials and all. Canadian Building Code, the Ontario Building Code and the National Building Code, it very specifically says that you can use salvage materials, equipment, whatever, as long as they satisfy the conditions, they satisfy the criteria that are set for the new materials and equipment. You are allowed to do that. And actually there is one particular chapter about the renovation. So in that particular chapter, but in our, I don't think in our urban development authority regulations or anything we talk about these salvage materials and
I know that Canada, they have very strict controls on that. Now even there was a situation that in the plan you have to look at like two situations. One, both situations actually got fired, that building. So reusing of any of materials was prohibited due to that contamination and various gases and unhealthy things maybe absorbed into these materials. So all the materials were discarded. Second one was the petrol station, where the site where the petrol station was there before. So after they give the planning permission, so you need to take out entire earth from the place because all can contaminated, clean everything. So I have a question, but I am not going to ask this question from the other two. I will allow the audience to raise some questions, and hope they are not going to giving you any difficulty or something. So can we have some questions? Yeah.
Right. Good morning. And this question goes to Architect Wan Pevaratna. You did a nice presentation. It's a great thing. Actually, it gives a very innovative idea how, rather than going for all sort of new materials, always we are thinking it's good to have new things and so on. So anyway, my question is, as an ordinary person, to build up a house, if I want to build up a house, do you have any idea about how much that I can save from this? Any idea about this for square foot rate?
From this project, I would use it like 20%.
20%.
But we have to run around the city. You don't have enough money to build the house. If you do this, you can save some money. Why don't you do this with me? Then I found a good research assistant in him also, because he calculated everything and he did everything which I wanted him to do. So it was money talks.
Multicultural design rise only from Europe countries like America. Did multicultural design rise from other countries also?
The concept of multicultural brought up there, who have been, there for their generations, and they do not integrate other people into the mainstreams. So the idea of multiculturalism is that you bring in various people to your country and you integrate them to the society. Like there are many countries, like most of the European countries, do have migrants, right? Because migrants usually go to developed countries. That's why we see multiculturalism mostly in the developed countries. If Sri Lanka becomes a developed country, we might have various other people migrating to us as well, because look at the weather, look at all these things. I mean, we are much stronger than most of those places. We probably don't have enough resources in terms of oil and gas and all these things, but still we have so many other resources which we can build. So we do have various cultural groups, but how much we integrate them in us, and especially even that we have quite a limited things. Whereas multiculturalism you see actually mostly in Canada, Australia and New Zealand. Interestingly, all three countries are Commonwealth countries, right? And US, as I said earlier, though there are many cultures living, we do not consider US as a country with multiculturalism for the obvious reasons. They kind of turn you into an American at the end of the day, right? Like for example, in Australia there was a very interesting case sometimes back. People were asked to vote, and they did not want to vote. They said, why should I waste my time going and voting? In Sri Lanka also you can say the same thing, because somebody else would cast your vote there, right? Whereas in Australia it was not the case. People were not bothered to go there, and people were not bothered to get their national identity card. They actually protested. They said, we don't want it, right? We don't want a national identity card. There was a huge riot as a result. So multiculturalism actually happens in the places where people do migrate and where people are integrated into the mainstream, politics and social development and economic development. So it could happen anywhere if the country is open for those kind of things.
I think we can add the fact that there's a push and pull factor, right? So there are people who want to go there. At the same time, they also want people, because we see that, for example, Japan now, their population is declining, like there's no any generation of new population. So that will impact on their economy. So in next decade time, like there are going to be serious issues with their economy, going to be down. Germany, for example. So like this Canada and Australia, like they have a different policy, because these countries are built by others all the time. So therefore, they have to cater for that. They bring people, and for that, make sure that everybody is happy and so on. Like therefore that. These programs are important. Can we have a few more questions from the ladies, for the ladies? About the goal situation, like it was again like quite important at this time.
Very close by microclimate. In a single microclimate, I think. Otherwise, it won't work because when the houses are quite the distance from each other, it won't work.
We have some more time, actually, about 6 minutes time.
Good morning. This question goes to Madhi Rajabakshmis, and that research was going according to the coastal areas. That's been it was goal for. And is there any actions which, if that thermal condition happens to any that's been different climate condition, maybe Candy or some other Jaffna or something, is there any action that something happens?
Yeah, it's in coastal area, but we can apply by finding was research was about how the thermal mass can be integrated with vegetation, right? So even if it happened to be gold, we can apply it into the other regions as well, even as you said, for Jaffna or in other, maybe in Colombo as well, because the ventilation in each region is different, even though gold is a coastal area. Maybe Jaffna has different kind of ventilation in those areas, so we can integrate that ventilation patterns into usage of thermal mass in those areas as well.
Right. My question goes to Mr. Mandrangnath. So you have conducted a very good research on the salvage materials, how to reuse the salvage materials. So my first question is how many, what is how many houses that you have tested on that? The first one. And the second thing, as you displayed in your presentation, you have given 40% of 0% for reusing timber, roof timber, yes. I think with my experience, not as an architect, but as my experience reusing timber for the next, the new house is, there's a possibility. Not zero possibility, but it's a greater possibility in reusing the roof timber for the next one, the next house. Your opinion on that? How many houses you?
Now, this is the initial house, the first one, right? This is the first one. And at the moment also, I'm doing another house, a single-story house, where I'm going to take it into pieces and dismantle it and building a 3-story house on the same land to save 2/3 of the land. So it is going on. Now, when you start something, you go on with it. And I have done several new things. This I have done about 2 or 3 years back, and still it is going on. For the moment, I think I have done like 2 houses. It's difficult to find people. I mean, you don't find people every day who's willing to, bold enough to do things like this. So I'm still continuing on this. And about the percentages, I think you have mistaken a little, because we have intended to use 100% of joinery, that is doors and windows, and we have achieved it. And we tried to use, our intention was to use 100% of the roof timber from the recycled materials. But for
the project itself is a catalyst surrounding the Barcelona area developed because of this introducing Olympic infrastructure like other providing infrastructures to the Olympic become a catalyst itself. People came from the area, and it became a catalyst because of that. And after Olympic, it became an exhibition space, and then pedestrian movements and visitors came for the area, and that also became a catalyst activity, and it acts as a catalyst. Is that clear for you?
I didn't know exactly what you have in mind for Colombo, the areas that you designated in your presentation. What you designated in your presentation? What exactly did you?
Sir, it is one way of catalyzing the area, but not. There are many ways of catalyzing the area. Maybe creating a pedestrian movement like that. It should not be a particular project. Maybe sometimes we can introduce public realm, like gathering space, like Colombo Arcade functioning as now, but the thing is no linkages, no visual corridors like that. We have to think about in a holistic manner when adding at least that's why at the end of the day I formulate some strategies that we can't think in a single way. Putting project won't be a successful way to catalyze the area. We have to think holistic way, and when we are developing as a catalyst, we can take public participation, public ideas to shape up the project. Likewise, we can think in a
Thank you. Perfect.
Thank you. I think the time is already like getting close to the end, and the last item would be the summing up. I don't take much time, but I'll just remind what we discussed and what could be become the outcomes. So presentations were done, starting from goal. Architect Raj talk about how